Welcome back to another video, everyone. In this video, we are going to introduce risk management. We are going to cover what is risk management, how does risk management help us, and implementing risk management. Before we get started, this is a very important part. Everything we cover in risk management should be extremely focused on, and you should make sure you apply everything I go over in here. Right? So first and foremost, what is risk management? Risk management is the process of identifying risk and limiting it as much as possible. Managing risk helps limit losses and protects traders from blowing their accounts. Risk management is one of the key elements of being a successful trader. Without risk management, guys, you guys will never, ever be able to stay in this game for a long period of time. You need to have risk management, right? Now, what you have to understand is trading is surrounded by risk. Trading is purely surrounded by risk. Everything around us in trading, there's risk, right? That's obviously, a lot of people obviously look at that as a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing. What you have to understand is, number one, you have to embrace the risk that is involved in trading. Once you embrace the risk, you have to understand that in order for me to survive in this game for a long period of time and be consistently profitable, I need to manage risk, right? Now, this is what most traders start out doing. So let's say person A opens an account tomorrow for $10,000, right? That person, let's say person A, right off the bat, takes this money and dumps it in a trade, full amount, without knowing anything, without knowing where he or she's going to exit if they're wrong, without knowing where he or she's going to take their profits, without position sizing, without doing any of the important things to mitigate risk, right? That's what most traders do. They dump it in trades, and usually what tends to happen is their 10 grand account gets blown up in 1 or 2 trades. We are not looking to do that. If you are someone that has traded or you are looking to trade, please do not take your full account and dump it into a trade without a plan or proper position sizing. We want to approach the market in an effective manner. We want to have proper risk management guidelines, and we want to follow our rules and understand how to apply risk management and actually apply it. Because a lot of people understand risk management, but they don't apply the techniques. So make sure that everything we cover here, you guys apply it and understand it on a deeper level. Now, this is what most traders do without risk management. So this is a gambler, not a trader. So everything I mentioned here, if you do this, you're not a trader, you're a gambler, right? This is what we're not looking to do. If you are someone who dumps all of your money in every trade without knowing how much you will potentially lose if you're wrong, you're not using proper risk management. So for example, what some people do, like I mentioned, they dump their full account into a trade without really knowing how much they're risking, how much they're potentially going to make, what their downside is. None of these things are considered, right? You have to identify how much you will lose. You have to identify your position sizing. Second thing, your positions are way too large, which leads to large losses. People that don't have proper risk management and dump their whole account into a trade obviously experience larger losses, right? You will experience larger losses. So you have to understand that in order for you to decrease your losses, you need to size down. There's a way to size up and size down, which I explained in the bankroll management video. But what you have to understand is you cannot go into a trade with your full account and take that trade head on. Another aspect showcasing you have that you're not using risk management is if you have no plan, you end up holding on to losing trades. I know a lot of people that do this. They buy a stock at, let's say, 12. The stock goes to 7 and they still never sell. Next thing you know, that same stock is at $2 and they're down over 80% in one trade. That's terrible trading. That's not even trading, guys. That's gambling. That's not what we're looking to do. Now, without proper risk management also, all it takes is one bad trade to destroy your whole account. So if you have traded before and it took you 1 or 2 trades to completely flush you out, you had no risk management, right? That's bad. Make sure you have risk management applied. You're risking more than you're potentially making. These are things that you should not do, guys. So if you take on a trade and you're risking $100, right, you should be potentially making $200. And I cover this in the reward to risk video, right? Now, with risk management, this is what you should be doing. You should take certain position size depending on the trade, right? You should not dump your whole account into a trade. That's not proper risk management. Your positions are not too big nor too small, which don't hurt you when you take a loss. Now, like I mentioned multiple times, losses are a part of the game. You guys are going to take a lot of losses. But the idea is when you lose money, right, your account can actually take the hit. Because if your account can't take the hit when you lose money, it's going to negatively impact you and you are going to take a massive hit. You are not going to be right in every single trade, guys. Every single trade, you're not going to be right. So when you are wrong, and if you do have proper risk management, that 1 or 2 times you're wrong or a few times you're wrong, it's not going to dramatically affect your account. Next, you have a set money management plan. Everyone should have a set money management plan. You should have a risk management plan on knowing what your guidelines are, knowing how much you're risking, knowing what your reward to risk ratio is. Knowing all these factors are extremely important, and in the last video of this part, I show you how to make one and I give you an example of a money management plan. You know when you're wrong and you know when you should take a loss. So every time you take on a trade with proper risk management, you have an idea on knowing, hey, when am I wrong? I'm wrong, I should cut my losses. With proper risk management, one trade won't cause a huge drawdown, right? So if you have one bad trade and your account's at 10,000, with proper risk management, your account will not go to 2,000 after one trade. That's not what we're looking to do. And with proper risk management, you're risking less than you're potentially making. You're probably risking, let's say, $100 to potentially make $200 or $300, right? That's all having proper risk management. Now, what are the 4 components of proper risk management? Now, the 4 components of proper risk management is number 1, you have to identify risk. Like I mentioned, in every single trade, guys, you guys are going to have risk. The first component of risk management is to identify what the risk is and if you're capable of taking on this type of trade. Now, each and every single one of you guys are going to be completely different on handling risk. Some people are going to be bigger risk takers, and some are not going to be that big on taking risk. That's something you have to understand about yourself. Do I want to take on risk? Do I not want to take on risk? That's where you set realistic expectations. You don't want to go out in trading and say, I want to have the least amount of risk, but I want to have the most amount of profit. It's not realistic. For you to have a lot of profit, you need to risk more, but you have to understand what your personality type is. You have to understand what works for you and how you want to go about it before you actually move on to step 2. Step 2, which we break down in the next video, is reward to risk ratio. The next step is to establish our reward to risk ratio. Does this trade make sense for us to take? How much are we risking to make what we're anticipating? So basically, reward to risk ratio means that on every trade you guys take, you should know 2 things. You should know how much am I risking, and I'm going to break this down more in depth in the upcoming video. You should know how much am I risking and how much will I potentially make if I'm right. And obviously, your reward should be 2x greater than your risk. So if you're risking $500 on a trade, you should be making a minimum of $1,000, right? That's what the reward to risk ratio means. The third component is position sizing, which I break down in one of the upcoming videos as well. During this step, you need to calculate how many shares can you trade based on your risk per account size. What you have to understand on this component is that you cannot dump your whole account into a trade. Once again, if you have $10,000, you cannot dump your full $10,000 into a trade. You need to understand how much are you risking per trade and how many shares can you buy based on your position sizing formula. And then finally, last step is managing the risk. Once you enter the trade, your goal is to manage the risk. This is where you execute the trade, embrace the risk that you identified, and now manage it. These are the 4 components of risk management. I am going to break down each one of these components in the upcoming videos. Once again, what I want you guys to understand before I dive more in depth into these topics is risk management is a very, very, very important topic. It's a very important thing to implement in trading. If you guys do not have proper risk management applied to your trading, you will not be able to propel as successful traders in the long run. In order for you to be a successful trader, risk management plays a very, very vital role in your trading.